Hello, sociology class. I'm here with Jack Frock. He's a recovering drug addict,
An alcoholic.
and we're here to tell you the dangers of drug abuse. So, Jack, tell us, how did you begin? Where did your drug addictions start?
Well, it sounds like a cliche, but it started with the marijuana. I believe that was the gateway because that was the first drug I tried, obviously.
Made
Nothing too hard for the first time.
Yeah, and it made you. It's just kind of like you feel a little messed up, a little high, and you want to chase the next high, get higher
Right.
than that.
Yeah.
And so, what age would you say that started?
That was about 8th grade. I was 15.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, so did you start because of friends or?
Yeah, it started with friends. I think they started doing it because they knew older kids that were doing it and then kind of passed it down to them. And then, I wasn't smoking pot for like the first 4 months that they were introduced to it. I didn't want to try it. I was too scared. And then it seemed like I was losing all my friends. So eventually I gave in and all my friends came back.
Yeah, so it's like you're not cool unless you smoke weed. You're going to lose all your friends if you don't. That's sad. As cliche as you said, as it sounds, the after school specials are true, kids. But, so after marijuana, would you say that it affected your school? Are you currently enrolled in college?
No, I'm not enrolled in college right now.
Did you graduate high school?
No, I didn't.
Would you say that drugs had an effect on that?
Definitely.
Can you give me like an example?
Yeah, like an example, like, I don't know, there's one year we were all juniors and there was a thing called Hippie Day.
Hippie Day?
Yeah,
so I remember that.
Yeah, so of course everyone wanted to smoke pot and dress like hippies before they went to school. So all my friends came over to my house. We all smoked some joints, and then they're like, "Okay, let's go to school. Are you coming?" I was like, "No, I'm going back to sleep. I'm gonna be a true hippie today." So
yeah, it's kind of hard. First time you get to smoke, you smoke and you don't go to school. It makes it easier and easier and easier to keep on doing it.
I just sat home all day, ate a bunch of food. Had a blast.
Yeah, so you would say that it all began marijuana and alcohol. They all started to fit in with your friends. You wanted to party and have fun.
Yep.
What was the next drug that you tried? What would you say progressed it?
Well, the next drug was actually alcohol, and I started drinking a lot, mixing the weed with it. It was more intense that way, you get the flips, the spins, they're fun.
Chasing the bigger high.
Yeah, chasing the bigger high.
What would you say you moved on to next after the weed and alcohol?
I think it was ecstasy.
Ecstasy?
Yeah, yep, it was.
So how was that?
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, I felt really good on it, obviously, because it's ecstasy. Ecstasy, it boosts up your endorphins, I think, or something. So yeah, I felt really good on it, but next day I felt really shitty about myself.
Yeah. When did you start experimenting with the pills?
The pills,
Vicodin, painkillers.
Well, actually, the first time I did take Vicodin, I was 16, and me and my friend were driving around a neighborhood where he lived by, and we saw this kid walking that we knew from middle school, and we picked him up, and he's like, "I just stole 5 of these Vicodins from my dad. They're $1 a piece." And the first thing I asked was, "Are they like weed?" Because I had no idea.
Yeah.
I didn't really know about other drugs, really. And he said, "Well, yeah, kind of, And then I bought all 5 of them because they were only $1 a piece, and I took all 5 of them. I remember sitting at home watching Pulp Fiction, and I was like, "Whoa, this movie's really crazy. This movie's the best movie I've ever seen. I love these pills." And then I started throwing up because I was overdosing because I definitely overdid it.
Yeah, first time you took 5, that's an obscene amount.
And, like, I was hooked, like, right off the bat from that because I remember the next day I went driving around that same neighborhood looking for the kid. I did that for a couple months, and I could never find him again. I heard he was in jail or something. And I just kept drinking and smoking weed because the Vicodin didn't really come around until a year later.
A year. And once you started, how did you find more? How did you start doing Vicodin again?
I worked with this kid actually that sold them, and then from there it was just like, wow, I met like 100 different people that sold them, so I had like a 24-hour drug connect.
Yeah, and the Vicodin, you'd say you were hooked on worse than the alcohol?
Oh,
or the
yeah,
weed
definitely.
Or the ecstasy?
Yeah, once I started taking the pills and everything, I pretty much stopped drinking as much. I was still smoking weed, but drinking was
no dependency. You needed of pills.
Because I've mixed Vicodin and alcohol, and it wasn't a good experience. It was more like a sick feeling. So I just started mixing the weed and the Vicodins.
Yeah. So did you try more things, or did you stay, or how far did you go with the Vicodin?
Oh, I went pretty far with them.
How many would you say in your in your worst, deepest in your addiction would you say you took a day?
As many as I could get, but usually I couldn't afford a lot. But the most I ever took was like 25 a day at one time. One big handful.
One big hand. Wow.
Yeah.
So did you continue with the Vicodin, or I would have to think that would get expensive, 25 of them a day?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And no, I stopped doing them because they got way too expensive, and then the drug dealers started figuring out what Oxycontin was, so they gave me the hookup on that. They said, crush this up, snort it, and you'll feel like you're on 20 Vicodins or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was cheaper, and then I started doing those much stronger.
Yeah, and then did you start to build up a tolerance to
those?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you started building that up, and what was the next thing on your list you tried to find to fill that habit?
It was heroin. I mean, I wasn't really looking for it. I didn't think I was really ever going to try it, but my cousin at the time, he was very hooked on heroin and crack, and he lived with me. He knew I never tried heroin, and that I didn't really want any part of it, but he was trying to help me out.
Yeah.
So one night I couldn't find any pills or anything, nothing to make me feel better. I was puking, I was really sick.
Just withdrawing from not being able to
Withdrawing so bad, just really scared. And he's like, give me $10, I'll take your car down the hood, get a pack of dope, heroin, and you'll feel a lot better. And I was like, no. And then an hour went by, I got more sick, more bogue, and I gave in. And yeah, it progressed from there too.
And how often were you doing heroin?
Heroin every day. Well, yeah, pretty much every day. Not at the beginning every day. At the beginning, just like maybe twice a week, because I'd do the oxys when I had the money. But when I ran out of the money, that's when I would go down to the...
Would you say the heroin was more addicting than the Oxycontins?
It was about the same.
Yeah.
It was about the same. Just the price was more, better. $10 instead of like 40. And then from there, it's just like you meet a whole bunch of drug connects down the hood, just everywhere, and that's a real 24-hour spot.
Just anywhere in Detroit.
Anywhere in Detroit,
down there,
you just go down there, ask, they know what you want.
Yeah.
They have code names, boys and girls, for crack and heroin.
Did you ever try crack?
Yeah, I got into that too, of course. Okay, so one night we were doing a bunch of heroin, boys, and my cousin's like, oh, why don't you come hit this girl? And me and my friend were like, no, we're not going to do that. And he's like, how about this? You give me a bag of weed, I'll throw some in there. It'll be a 151er, like all the rappers talk about.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, it sounds better that way since you're mixing it with the weed.
Which you already done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, he rolled it up, we smoked it, it started popping off, and like it hit me instantly. Like it was the craziest adrenaline rush ever. I felt like I was Superman. It was just like, ugh.
It was like unconquerable. Like
just
do anything.
Anything, yeah. And then like the high wore off
That's
within
gotta be an addicting feeling.
Oof,
you want that back.
So bad, yeah.
I can imagine that.
The high went away in like literally like a minute, and then me and my friend were like, shit, we have a bunch of money on us. We gave him the money. I gave him the keys to my car. Said, listen, we want to try this for real. So we got a bunch of it. Stayed up all night doing it, and it took off from there.
So, when you were in the grips of your drug addiction, what made you did you ever seek help or treatment?
Yeah. The first time that I went to treatment was just for the Vicodin and Oxycontin mixture. My dad actually found out that I wasn't doing so good, and he kind of forced it upon me, go to treatment or else, I'm not,
cut you off.
I'm going to cut you off. We're not going to help you out anymore. So I went, and I got out, didn't really listen to anything they were saying. They said, it gets worse if you relapse, this and that. I got out, and I started drinking, and then the drinking led back to the weed, and then it all led back to everything else. And then, and that's when I started doing the heroin, blah, blah, blah.
So, just...
Yeah.
Would you say it's because you didn't want to get clean? It's because someone else wanted you to be clean?
Yeah, the second time I was living with my dad,
Second time?
Yeah, the second time I went back to treatment.
Oh, second time I went to treatment.
Yeah, I was living with my father, and what happened? He could tell I was fucked up. He was getting the hints, I was very distant.
Mysterious.
Yeah, shady.
Yeah.
And so I kind of broke down. I wrote him this long note how I'm messed up again, thinking that, if I come to him this time, then, it'll be all cool, which it was, but it was still fake. And then got out, stayed clean for about a month, and my cousin actually called me, and he's like,
Same cousin.
Same cousin. He called me. He's like, I heard you just sold your TV, because I had to sell my plasma TV to pay off some debts. And he's like, let's go get a couple, And then I did it that night. A couple of packs of heroin. Did it that night. I overdosed for sure. I had to keep myself awake all night because I knew I was dying. Like, you just know. I was going into the deepest sleep that I've ever been in. So I was really scared, and I was puking all night. And then, and then I went to treatment the third time. It was more like I had to do it because I knew I was going to die, and I was so sick of it.
Would you say you hit rock bottom
before
that?
Yeah. I couldn't hold a job. I had no money. I was stealing this time around. I was doing anything and everything, manipulating people, lying.
Selling drugs to get more
Selling drugs to get more drugs, robbing people. Just all the things.
Desperate,
very desperate.
Fix. So
breaking down.
You managed to be able to realize that at least, though. Thank God you managed to realize it. And you did go to you said a halfway house?
Yeah, this time around I was talking to my therapist inside the rehab, and she suggested a halfway house, and I was like, you know what? Nothing else has worked. Maybe this will help.
For people that don't know, what is a halfway house?
A halfway house is a sober living. You live with a bunch of guys that are sober. You have a curfew, breathalyzers, random drug screens, all that stuff.
Basically jail inside of a house.
Basically, kind of. I mean, you can go out all day. You just have a curfew. You just watch.
You're
basically
like you're a kid.
You're a kid again.
Yeah.
And I stayed there for 3 months, and it really, really helped. I met a lot of cool people in there. Learned a lot about myself. What triggers me, all that. And now.
How long have you been? Are you still clean now?
Yeah, I'm coming up on 10 months or 9.5 months.
9.5 months.
Yeah.
Wow, man, I'm really proud of you
Thank
for that. That's really good.
March 2nd is my clean date. Nice. 2011.
That's good to hear. And so, what is life? How is life after drug addiction?
Life is great, actually. I mean, the first couple months were very hard.
Yeah.
Living in the assisted living, I couldn't really see my friends. You were like a kid with a strict parents. So like Friday nights I'd be sitting inside playing Xbox with the roommates while everyone was out getting trashed. Even though I didn't belong out there anyways, but
yeah, it's probably good that you didn't. You probably would have gone and got drunk and then domino affected all the way back into junk.
And now I've gotten really big into fitness. I'm going to be going into that in a couple months shortly.
Yeah.
Trying to get my fitness license to train people.
Kind of just refocused your addiction into a positive. That's an important thing. You want to refocus your grips and everything that all of this, especially, would you say you have way more spare time now since that?
Yeah.
Because I have had to imagine, because when you're a drug addict, I would think that your entire day, whenever you're not high, revolves around thinking about how you're gonna get high.
Yep. First thing when you wake up.
How am I going to score?
How am I going to get high?
Whatever.
Today, first thing I think of when I wake up is how am I going to stay clean today? Honestly, it sounds corny, but it's the first thing.
Whatever motivates you to stay. What are some tricks to staying clean that you've picked up?
Okay, well, someone at a meeting told me, find one stupid thing. It could be anything. Find one thing every day to stay clean for, and, it could be anything.
Can you give me an example?
Like tonight I started boxing again, and that was one of the things that helped me stay clean today. Like, okay, I got boxing today at 4 o'clock. Gotta stay clean at least till 4 o'clock. Got out of boxing. This helped too. This interview. Gotta stay clean for this video.
Yeah, can't be a liar.
Yeah, can't be a liar.
You were telling me you've helped your other friends that have been battling drug addiction.
Yeah, I have a lot of people calling me for help now, and that helps me stay clean also. I've had like 4 friends come to me for advice on treatment centers and all that.
Who are dealing with the same thing.
So if they tell me they're going in for 2 weeks, that helps me stay clean for another 2 weeks. That's just like
you want to make sure when they get out that they have you to go see, so they can be around a friend that isn't going out. Because I mean, it's hard when people get out of rehab. All their friends, they can't put their life on hold and hang out with them and just avoid everything that they normally do, because I mean, if it's a Friday night and you want to go drink somewhere, and they can't come with you, and then what are they left to do?
Right.
Well, I'm really happy to hear that you're on the right path. I'll be checking up on you myself to make sure that you're still doing good.
Uh-huh.
And thank you. I hope everyone from my class thanks you for your time, and they can learn something. Or
maybe they'll see me around Macomb soon.
Hey, hopefully. Hope to see you there too. Maybe we can take some classes together.
All right.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, everyone.